Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, and Ramadan Mubarak. Good evening, good night, or good morning to all of you. We are pleased to have people here meeting from all over the world from different time zones. I'm Ashiria Andrud. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm a master student at Erasmus University doing management of innovation. I was born in the Netherlands, but I was raised in Suriname in the Caribbean, which is where my family is from. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 252nd edition of our ICC Thought Leaders Forum. We wish to sincerely thank all of you who have contributed in whatever way to the success of this ongoing Pan-Indo-Caribbean and Pan-Indian Diaspora Global Project. For 251 unbroken continuous weeks, we have been here every single Sunday. And in the past 4 years, 10 months, and 1 week, we have featured 1,229 presenters from all parts of the world speaking on 251 topics. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a weekly forum. It's being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, which is a legally registered research and publishing company operating since 2010. And today we are pleased to be supported by Ashok Ramsaran, President of the Indian Diaspora Council. In order to make this a weekly program and to make it even bigger and better, we are asking all of you for suggestions and volunteers. If you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all our promotional materials. Please contact Dr. Mahabir for details. These days, we are busy preparing to go on one of our ICC nonprofit group tour of Guyana for the Easter. This is from April 14th to the 23rd, and we are busy planning for a conference in and tour of South Africa from August 2nd to August 14th this year. We will schedule an entire program on this and visit to South Africa on the following Sunday. Now, let me introduce to you our moderator for today, which is Shakira Mohammed. She has 2 degrees, one in business management and the other in education, with a focus on special needs education. She has been a teacher for the past 16 years, and Shalima will return next week.
Thank you, Ashiria. We welcome everyone today to our program. Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak, Namaste, and a warm welcome to all of you. And we want to thank you for choosing to be here with us. This program is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed on the YouTube channel of the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center, and we welcome all of you on YouTube at this time. To avoid intrusion from trolls, we have decided to allow members of the public to view and participate in the program via YouTube. So if you wish to enter the Zoom room, please send a request to Dr. Mahabir or through WhatsApp, and we want to thank you all for understanding and for your cooperation. Our program today is entitled Family Responsibility for the Elderly in the Indian Diaspora. So we will explore the evolving dynamics of elder care in the Indian communities in their diaspora. Traditionally, Indian culture emphasizes strong family bonds with children expected to care for aging parents. However, with migration, Western influences, and modern lifestyles, we have shaped these expectations, leading to challenges in balancing tradition with contemporary realities. This discussion will address cultural values, legal frameworks, caregiving options, and the emotional and financial responsibilities families face in supporting elderly relatives while adapting to new societal norms. So I'll introduce our first speaker today, who is Sunita Singh of South Africa. She is the editor and publisher of Eastern Eye, SA, a magazine that has become a cornerstone of South Africa's media landscape, highlighting influential figures in various fields. Unfortunately, she cannot be with us live at this moment, but has prepared and sent us a pre-recorded video. So Dr. Mahabir will play the video, which is about 6 minutes long. Dr. Mahabir?
Family Responsibility for the Elderly in the Indian Diaspora in South Africa by Sunita Singh, editor and publisher of the Eastern Eye magazine. The Indian diaspora in South Africa has a rich and complex history dating back laborers in the 19th century. Over generations, this community has built a unique identity, blending Indian cultural traditions with South African influences. One of the most significant aspects of this heritage is the responsibility placed on families to care for their elderly members. Traditionally, the care of elders has been viewed as a moral and social duty, deeply rooted in values of respect, gratitude, and familial bonds. However, modern challenges such as economic pressures, urbanization, and shifting cultural perspectives has begun to impact these traditional caregiving practices. The cultural importance of elderly care. In Indian culture, elders are regarded as the foundation of the family, offering wisdom, guidance, and a connection to cultural and religious traditions. The principle of seva, selfless service, and the belief in karma, moral duty, reinforce the expectation that younger generations will take care of their aging parents. In the past, multi-generational households were common, allowing families to support their elders while benefiting from their presence. This system ensured that aging family members remained integrated within the family structure, providing them with emotional and physical support. Even in South Africa, where the Indian community has faced historical challenges such as discrimination and economic hardships, the tradition of elder care has remained strong. Families often take pride in caring for their elders, considering it both a duty and a privilege. However, as societal structures evolve, maintaining these traditions has become increasingly difficult. Challenges to traditional caregiving. While the value of caring for the elderly remains deeply ingrained in Indian culture, several factors have made traditional caregiving more challenging in modern South African society. Urbanization and changing family structures. In earlier generations, it was common for families to live together in large extended households. However, as younger generations pursue career opportunities in urban centers or even overseas, multi-generational living has become less feasible. Many elders are left behind in family homes, often relying on distant relatives or community members for support. Economic pressures and work demands. In today's economic climate, it is common for both men and women to work full-time jobs to support their families. The rising cost of living means that many younger family members cannot afford to stay at home and care for their elders, even if they wish to. This has led to an increasing reliance on external caregivers or nursing homes, a trend that was once considered culturally unacceptable. Influence of Western ideals. Exposure to Western values, independence, and self-reliance has influenced the younger generations of the Indian diaspora. While they still respect their cultural heritage, some may not feel the same obligation to provide full-time care for their elders. Many elderly individuals also express a desire for independence rather than becoming a burden on their children. Balancing tradition with modern solutions. Despite these challenges, many Indian families in South Africa are finding ways to uphold their traditional responsibilities while adapting to modern realities. Several strategies have emerged to ensure that elders receive the care and support they need. Home-based care and assisted living. To maintain a sense of familial closeness, some families hire in-home caregivers, allowing elderly members to remain in a familiar environment while receiving professional assistance. Additionally, some communities have established elder-friendly living spaces that provide a balance between independence and family support. Community and religious support. Temples, mosques, and cultural organizations play a significant role in providing social and emotional support to elderly individuals. Many religious institutions organize gatherings, prayer meetings, and cultural events where elders can connect with their peers, reducing feelings of isolation and loneliness. Strengthening intergenerational bonds. Open communication between generations is essential in maintaining family values while adapting to many challenges. Encouraging discussions about elder care expectations, financial planning, and emotional support can help families develop sustainable caregiving solutions. In conclusion, I would like to say that family responsibility for the elderly remains a cornerstone of the Indian diaspora in South Africa. While traditional caregiving practices have been challenged by modern economic and social factors, many families continue to honor the elders through a combination of traditional values and innovative solutions. By blending cultural heritage with contemporary caregiving methods, families can ensure that the elderly members receive the respect, dignity, and care they deserve. Ultimately, the strength of a community is reflected in how it treats its most vulnerable members. And the Indian diaspora in South Africa continues to uphold the fundamental value of caring for its elders, even as the nature of that care evolves.
Thank you, Sunita. And I hope you will see this program afterwards. That was very pertinent information. And it sounds very similar to what is happening here in Trinidad and Tobago. So we want to thank you again for that very detailed and very interesting presentation. So I will move on now to our next speaker. And this is Suman Kapoor of New Zealand, who was born in India. She is very passionate about serving elders, and she has dedicated herself to supporting those who are neglected or abused. Her interactions have provided valuable insights into the vulnerabilities of old age. So welcome, ma'am. You can take about 20 minutes.
Namaste, everyone. Born and brought up in Uttar Pradesh in India, and I migrated to New Zealand in 2002. Not very young, but yeah, in the middle age and going to my old age. I'm a double postgraduate from India and a Bachelor of Education. So teaching has always been my profession. But here in New Zealand, I happen to be in a social environment a bit more than what I was in India. It is just because when I migrated, the number of Indians were not that great as it is today. And I often used to launch for help or for any information as an Indian origin person from the local people. So, yeah, assimilating into this uh, cultural atmosphere. Some of our friends get a real cultural shock. Okay. So, going back to my topic, the family responsibility for elderly in Indian diaspora. So, first, I would like to throw some light on how Indian structure is, or it has been traditionally. India has been a country where the status of family has been of utmost importance since ages. It is known for its diversity and collectivist culture. Families in India are tied up with unseen bond, cooperation, harmony, and interdependence. Togetherness is what rules over here. There has been a long standing tradition in the Indian culture to live in extended families. The joint family has always been preferred family type in Indian culture, And most of Indians at some point in their lives have participated in joint family living. So I lived in a joint family, and my thought process has been always to look into and think about what is the best for us in this Western atmosphere. So traditionally, if we see that insight into some household practices, bonds for family, some of the core characteristics which form an Indian family in its joint living of 3 or 4 generations under a common roof and cooking food in a common hearth. Actually, that seems quite interesting for our younger kids these days, those who are born and brought up in Western places all around the globe. The eldest male member, called the Karta, has the full decision making authority in all the family matters. The property of the family is owned by all the male members of the house, but managed by the eldest male member. The worship of a common family deity is another significant feature of Indian joint family. Members of the family shower enormous respect in elders, their age and wisdom acquired during their life period. I can also relate to that my grandmother was actually the house karta, I must say, because she used to take in charge of the whole household. We had around 21 members in the family. In uh, she was not literate, I must say, because during old times the ladies were not very educated. And why I'm mentioning this, that when I did my double post graduation and even after, we in the family were not allowed to say that our grandmother is illiterate or not educated. She was only able to write a little bit of Hindi, like in letters. Rest of all, nothing at all. But the way she used to manage the family, she was top boss, and we were really restricted to even utter a single word about that. So that's the beauty. But these days, if we see, children don't even tolerate, and in a minute they say, "What you know? You don't know anything." They know everything by Google Guru. So going back, another significant feature of Indian joint family, that a child learns and is reared by a number of people, thus dividing work, saving time, and creating a spectrum of this joint family. This reinforces in the mind of younger generation the respect and love the elders are entitled to get within the larger structure. So my focus is in my some of this narrations is on Hindu religion, but I am uh, taught how to be a secular person, and we used to have very good connection in the neighborhood with all other religions. So religious tolerance and other things we were taught then and there. Others can surely relate to it. Other religions can relate what is happening in our families as a whole. When people are raised in different time periods, their values and perceptions of the world can be quite different. And this can lead to difficulties in understanding one another. You see, that was in the joint family for the elders a bit of a challenge. For example, I can say when there are 4 families, 4 brothers, and their families are together, the ladies used to utter, "Oh, this family is eating more ghee on their rotis." You see, it is not that who's getting what, but everyone comes under one roof and they have to share whatever resources they have. Because of the gap in understanding between generations, it is important to find link between younger and older generation. This is the need of the hour now. Here in Western countries, this link is missing somehow. Due to various reasons, my previous speaker gave a very good light on the reasons for those various differences nowadays. But in Eastern countries, where the concept of joint families is still so much prevalent and going strong, it is much more easier for grandchildren to understand the perspective of an older member and to be able to relate with it. The understanding does not only provide a better perception of the environment, but it also forms the basis of a socialization process for these kids. Yes. Here I would like to say, in Germany, there was an experiment going on that even the elders who live in rest home, school children were made to visit them, and under supervision, of course, and they used to sit and talk to elderly people. And this was such a win-win situation that elderly like to share their life experience, and children get a lot of information from them. And this was a very positive experiment which went, and we definitely try and follow over here in New Zealand as well. Hence, in the Indian culture, living with grandparents is not an obligation, it's a necessity, as it opens the doors of kids much more aware of the positives around them. It helps them to understand. Sorry, there was a bit of a difference. This,
Right, that's okay. We're hearing you clearly now. You can go ahead.
so the understanding does not only provide a better perception of the environment, but also like changing the value systems. Now, value system has diminished. It is observed. This diminished value system has done so much of harm, helping so much of harm to our society. But if the kids take responsibility of bringing back the values of honesty, hard work, in helping nature, the scenario could easily be changed. The mutual advantage of living in joint families and having grandparents around is understanding of world as a positive place to live. You see lots of youth these days are found in depression and all those problems arrive, but this is a better solution always, to be in the joint family or live in closeness with elders, and including the positive values to make the further a better place. It's for the elderly people, it is positive opportunity to find meaning in their life, taking from from the vantage of elderly. It is the time to give other the richness of life and share the worldly wisdom with their children, grandchildren, and great grandchildren. So, living arrangement now we are discussing that for elderly are often considered as basic indicator of the care and support provided by the family. However, this practice is more culturally based rather than dependent. In New Zealand, the culturally based rest homes are in practice. You see, wherever the elderly are, they like to live in an atmosphere which brings close to their own culture. They like culture food, the same food we eat all around the globe, wherever we live. Hence, they need home cooked good food and just the basic care. Rest all, even there are lots of facilities from government also to elderly for their health care. Now going to the a bit of the dynamics. The USA um, um, are 15% of the aged person lived with their children. This is just a study. Whereas in India, about 75% live with their children. Similarly, the WHO surveys have indicated that among the aged persons, 72% in Malaysia, 79% in Philippines were living with their children. Presently in Indian villages, 80% of the aged persons are living with their children. These indicate the strength of cultural traditions over other factors in treatment of the aged person. The social system puts pressure on children, especially the male children, to take care of the aged parents. Apart from the legal requirements, the cultural practices also assign certain duties for the aged in household chores. Taking care of the young children, looking after the social responsibility, all the responsibilities, and settling interpersonal or inter-household or even inter-group conflicts. Please focus on that. This is a very important job which elders are doing, and they must be um, uh, considered the best for that. Helping in the matrimonial matchmaking are among the duties that the society expects the aged person to take interest in and attend to. Thus, the aged are made to play useful roles. Here we are talking about the useful roles played by elders in the household and in the society, so as to make them feel reassured that they are an important part of society. You see, this definitely boosts their self-esteem. Say in various countries, the stories appear that elders are abused. They are used by their siblings. So I'm not talking at the moment on that, where people know the stories, how it is happening. But at any stage, the family provides the individual the emotional, social, and economic support, the ability of the aged persons to cope with the changes in health, income, social activities, etc. at the old ages depends to a great extent on support the person gets from his or her family members. This support in it may be said um, is more culturally based than the development dependent. For example, in India, the cultural values emphasize that the elderly members in the family be treated with honor and respect. So nowadays, if we see the modern structure even in India, you see the independent living for active seniors is being developed, and it's a big economic boost also. Lots of residential homes and flats are all in vicinity, and they include the activities like gym, music, yoga, and many more. So if the elderly are active, they can participate and live a very healthy life. Go for walks together, and the walking strips are there. So I have been there, and I visited, and I'm quite happy. So and the food which they provide is home cooked type and very good value for money, all that. So at a glance, we see the beauty about Indian culture. It lies in the age-long prevailing tradition of the joint family system, a major factor that keeps the members, big and small, united in love and peace. So in a joint family system in India, it is the importance attached to the protocol. Here we are talking about some rules around the house. This feature is very unique to Indian families and very special, that members like respecting elders, touching their feet as a sign of respect, speaking in a dignified manner, taking elders' advice prior taking any important decisions. So, ladies and gentlemen, they don't feel secluded, or they don't feel that they are sidetracked for anything. So that is something that Indian parents take care to inculcate in their kids from very beginning. Decision making is also a very important aspect of life. The reason why Indians are providing to emerge as a prosperous lot globally, many researchers claim that it is because of the significance they attach to the joint family system, all working cohesively to solve a problem faced by any one to more members of the joint comprehensive environment. An Indian may be great sportsman or a movie actor or so on in a particular professional field, but all these accomplishments relegate to the back seat when they are at home. So, friends, here we spoke about a lot about the joint family system and the benefits of it. But all for one and one for all used to be the motto. I remember from my childhood, I was taught that in a joint family, all for one. If someone is in trouble, other people come forward and help. And one for all, like in many families, they used to have a joint business. And in the joint business, what happens, that sometimes one person works harder than others. There are four brother, elder brother works more than other, but whatever income comes, that's equally distributed in the family. That's how they all live in one main kitchen. Okay, so this is my personal story, and this is the experience I gained, and childhood training. We get lots of verbal rules in the house. We used to be like for with our sibling, other cousins, and all how to live. And I still remember my aunt used to have a big thali or a plate with lots of katoris or lots of small pots with the curries and lots of rotis. And all we siblings used to sit around, and she used to feed all of them of the similar ages, of course, those who cannot feed themselves. So this is the beauty. I think we must tell all these stories to our younger generation. But you see, these days the rest home situation versus the Vriddha ashram in India is not uncommon. So Vriddha ashram is there where parents or the elders are sent to a separate place, and they live there rest of their life. And children, they live separately due to various reasons. Either they move overseas, they have their own isolated families, and they don't want to live with the elderly. So they are either forced or by some of the situations to they live in these vridhashram, and lot of controversies we can hear in media. So and as I was narrating about joint business, so Hindu joint family law prevailed in India, and so there are so many things are regulated by the law. And it is very recently introduced a law for elderly people also. If the son is not taking care of the parents, he will not be given the share in the property, or he will be deprived of all the assets which the elderly are having, if elderly are being mistreated, or if they are not taken care of as they should get. So present time in all isolated families due to various reasons, small family system has emerged. So critical aspects, because both the parents are working, as my previous person was showing in the video, and growing effect of electronic games, mobile, social media has immense negative effect on young minds. Vulnerable youth often feel insecure, depressed, and lack focus. So the elderly figure, um, uh, it bonds, that kind of bond uh, is missing. Children and grandparents, resulting damaging effects. So, um, uh, what happens that if someone in the society sees some kind of abuse going on or a neglect going on, they should report as our moral responsibility. Where to report is the proper authorities, and definitely support them, embrace them, because this is what the human care is. So I will just talk a little about the elder abuse and neglect, how it happens and what it happens, as we are talking about the family system here. Um, Abuse, we can see physical, mental, psychological, emotional, financial, social, sexual, institutional. These are the types of abuse you can see for elderly. So physical abuse is, if you see any bruise, scratches, or sprains, you can imagine some kind of abuse is going on, or people can just go and have a passionate talk. It's not bad. It's not interfering in someone's life, but it is our moral responsibility to look into that, because I love it. I work lot in the social structure, because these are the things we keep to ourselves. If we are going through any kind of abuse, we don't tell anyone. It is a big no in our structure, family structure, to talk to the outsider. But if some people work in the society, or the social support is there, then they may come into some good situation. They are transferred to a better secured place, or whatever the remedy is. Sorry, I just get bit emotional on that type. But yeah, so mentally, if we call the abuse is like controlling who you are talking, or who you are spending the time with. You see, it's very small thing, but for an elderly person, it's has a great impact, and threatening to stop you from seeing someone's family or friend. It affects them a lot. This is just a hint for the mental and psychological, emotional. We have seen the cases where what they like to eat is not provided them in the house. For if elderly parent like halwa, that's a sweet dish, because most of them have some problem with their teeth or something, not a very hard food, they like the soft food. So this halwa is not been given to them. And meeting with grandchildren, you don't meet your grandchildren. If somebody says to the elderly grandparent, it's just taking heart out of them, and abusive and disrespectful language. So, or they are not allowed to travel the places they want to visit. That's also has a lot of psychological and emotional impact on them. And financial is most dangerous. For example, in New Zealand, we had a recent some kind of what we call the elder abuse and neglect day, and it comes, I think, 1st of June. So every year we do it and we throw light. So it has been seen that the financial abuse is most dangerous, and it is seen commonly in families. A small example is misuse of the credit cards using their pension and money saving, and their the elders' money is being used for the personal expenses of other family members somehow,
Okay.
and the
Suman,
family member abuse is most.
Suman, hi. Can you give your final comments, please?
Sure.
Sure.
So going to the role of family avoiding any neglect, abuse, or vulnerable elderly is occurring in the household. This becomes our prime responsibility, and they in Western countries a lot of help is available. People go into the certain departments, and definitely either help them directly or through the institutions. So protecting them, for example, with the community law is there and practiced. So this is what I'm talking about New Zealand, but it is very well addressed in Australia, England, and other places. So there are a few red flags also for elder abuse, which we can have that addressed in the emotional also discuss and maltreatments and in Indian scenario. So coercive control, pressuring into giving money is not uncommon. And then very important aspect with which I'm closing, that in this last stage of life, elderly sometimes they look for a second chance of marriage. Many of them are alone. So in India, I've seen some of them, they were having the Vriddhashram, which was closed during the COVID time, and that is in Bangalore. And they started matchmaking for these elderly people. So this is not common. This is the change of time. And living arrangement is also common for the elderly. They can live in. But here, like in New Zealand, we are also trained in Western countries. If you are going for any relationship, how cautious you are regarding your assets and your the distribution and the not getting fooled in this kind of relationship. Yeah, so that kind of education is also available if somebody goes in that scenario, that's there. So life is full. My closing comment is it's not only the joint family system, but it is living in the real life these days, in the real culture, what we are in Western culture, how to go about it. And life is full of brightness. And even in those golden years, elders have full right to be at their best, what they have done in their life. Thank you very much for hearing. And if any comments or any questions, I'm happy. Thank you.
Man, thank you very much. That was some very pertinent and very detailed information. So what we'll do, audience, we'll take the questions after our speakers have given their contribution. Right? So I will move on now to our next speaker. Suman, there are some questions already for you, all right? So afterwards. So I'll introduce our next speaker. And this is Vishnu Mahadev of the USA, originally from Guyana, with over 25 years as a social worker at Cornerstone Home Care Incorporated in New York. He has helped more than 10,000 seniors with Medicaid, property tax, rental assistance, etc. So we want to welcome you, sir, and you have about 20 minutes to speak.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I want to address Suma Kapoor's statement about value system and abuse, and I would like to address Sunita Singh, the strengthening of family bond and the economic and social ties that is associated with it. Here in the United States, especially in New York City, it is in we have a system in place that strengthens family bond above our religious values. Our family members are being paid by the state to ensure that you eat your meals on time, you take your medication on time, you go to the groceries with them, you have transportation, and they do not touch your assets. I have cases where people, before they had this system in place, had their parents in a basement. And when they start getting $2,000 to $4,000 per month to look after their parents live in the mass on the first floor, and their children move into the basement. What we have here in the United States is a gem, and it reflects what needs to be done in all the countries, including Trinidad. What we have here is that irrespective of your income level, you will be qualified to get Medicaid and Medicare. When you have Medicaid and Medicare, you are able to ensure one, you are going to get $293 in food stamp every month, over which you can buy whatever food you want to buy when you want to buy it. You get $340 in OTC, where you're able to buy nutriment and whatever mouthwash, toothbrush, toothpastes at your convenience, and buy whatever you want whenever you want. This gives our seniors flexibility to make their own decisions. The food they eat, the music they hear, and the cultural values is being reinforced by the aides that work for them. Because if the senior who is in charge of their care file a complaint with the state, that aid is removed. And you are able to get quality. You when the food is bunjal, you smell the bunjal of the food. When the dal is cooked and the gote the dal, you can hear the song, and that motivates our community and reinforce our cultural value and perpetuates their life. This is the difference we make here in the United States, especially in New York, where our children take a specific interest not because of cultural value, but because of financial value, where you're not a liability to your children. You are able to be able to get compensation. Your children or your grandchildren can be paid anyway up to $21.84 an hour to look after you at home. Make sure you have your food on time, and make sure you hear the music you want to like. And besides those things, when it comes to diaper, bed liners, or anything, pampers that you have to get, the state provides that for you at your own and at no cost to you. So you have a quality of life where you are not a liability to your children. You are an asset to your children as you get older. And your children feel comfortable because they don't have to put their hands in their pocket to look after you. The state is paying them money to look after you. And in some cases, they're getting between $2,000 to $4,000 per month. Then, in addition to that, those seniors, if they own a property, it is in their interest to keep the property in their name and not to give it to their kids. Because if they have the property in their name, they will get 80% reduction in property tax, and that significantly lowers your expense and your liability. And then you will decide who you want in your family to take your asset after you pass on, not before you pass on. You will decide that for yourself, No child can come and tell you, Daddy, you gotta get out the house, or Mommy, you gotta get out the house. They don't have the authority to do that. And that's the empowerment we give to our community here in New York State. In addition to that, we are able to strengthen the family bond, because family, not only do they get the emotional connection, they get the financial connection, and they're able to reinforce. They can keep their job and they can still look after their parents and get their children to look after their parents and reinforce that. And in our community, our age is now extending up. In the United States, you used to get your Social Security at 65. Now you have to be 66 and 10 months in order to get your full Social Security. And what end up happening? We are able to educate our community how to increase their Social Security contribution so that when they get older, they can get a high enough Social Security. It's a welfare system that our third world countries do not have the insight to understand the importance of it. You need to make sure that when you're paying your taxes is there to protect you when you get older. There is no such law in Guyana nor in Trinidad or anywhere from any of the speakers I've been listening to. They need to understand. You need to talk to your elected officials and put a law in the system that allows you to
Mr.
be the
Mahadev,
primary caretaker. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Mahadev, can you please stick to the topic, but I think addressing the other speakers and telling them what you would like them to do. I don't think we should just continue with the topic and what you had
Well, my
prepared
thing
to
is
speak.
that
Thank you.
I hear where you're coming from. The whole idea is to be able to share information that will be of interest.
No, but you are coming across as very hostile right now. So I would
Well,
prefer,
I don't want to
yes.
be hostile. It's just that we have to be able, because I have had conversation with the various sectors of the government of Guyana, and I'm trying to educate them about the need for these things. But outside of that, we in the diaspora here in the United States, we are actually having this area where our seniors do not want to go back to their home country because the level of care they're getting and the lack of liability to their children has become a major decisioning factor in terms of letting them stay in the United States. And many of our seniors stay here until they pass away. And I actually am very proud of that, because what has happened when you provide these service to the senior, it increases their quality of life as they get older and as they get more elderly and more disabled, because their children gives them more attention because they get paid more by the state when they get into that situation. And we are very proud because the children are so concerned that, as I said to you before, the parents become a focus because they get paid. It's not a liability to their family. And at the same time, they feel proud because they can show other people, here's my mother, here's my father, I'm looking after them, and I'm very comfortable with it. So we have the way of reinforcing family values through economic and social skills that we have in the United States that is helping us to reinforce our Indian tradition. And we need to be very proud of that, because it is something that needs to be manifested in many other countries outside of the United States. With that, I'm open to questions.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Your information was very, very important and very pertinent. I think it was a different angle from the other speakers. So it was definitely information that we were not aware of. So thank you so very much.
You're most welcome.
Right? So I just wanted to be clear if I understand you properly. Are you saying that elders in the US are much better off than others because the state has exonerated the family from caring for the elderly?
Yes, but they get paid to look after their parents.
They get paid to look
It's
after
not
their
a
parents.
liability now. They can get an extra $30,000 to $40,000 a year more to their income, and that makes them look good and better because they get a higher social security, and they're looking after their parents through that, and that makes a difference.
All right. So thank you very much, sir.
You're
We'll
welcome.
take some more questions at the end of the
Sure.
session. So I'll move on now to our next. So thank you very much, sir. So ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome our fourth and final speaker, who is Sunita Ramnarayan Mohammed of Trinidad. As an echocardiographer, healthcare coach, and diabetes care and education specialist, she has spent 3 decades observing the socio-economic and cultural differences in elderly care. So welcome, ma'am. You do have a PowerPoint to share, so I'll ask Navin if you can share that for us, please.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I know it may be morning at some places like Ms. Kapoor. Is it morning where you are or late at night? Okay. So here in Trinidad and Tobago, we're in the afternoon. And as we wait for Navin to share the PowerPoint, I have been an echocardiographer and diabetes care and education person for a while. And as a result, I have interactions with lots of patients. A lot of them are elderly. However, that too is changing. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly, so you go right ahead.
Great, thank you, Navin. I've entitled my presentation Sarwan Kumar in Generation Beta because Beta means son in Hindi. And Sarwan Kumar, as you all know. Next slide, please, Navin. Right. So Sarwan Kumar here is made popular in the Ramayana as that person who took his duty as a son very, very carefully. And he took his parents who were blind with him everywhere, and he did everything for them. King Dashrath, on thinking he heard a deer shot, and he killed this gentleman. And of course, he was cursed by the parents that he should then suffer the pain of not having his dearly beloved son around him. In the Ramayana at that time, we weren't alive. However, the stories of how elders were treated in Hinduism or in Sanatana Dharma is passed on through these stories, not just the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the different scriptures. And it's also passed on by the very, very popular Bollywood film industry. So everyone knows this movie, Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham. And in the movie, there were generations living in the household. And Amitabh, in this movie, he worked hard, provided for his children, wasn't happy with his son's decision. Even though he was educated, he left. And when the grandmother died, the younger son went out. You know, the dynamics of the family. When we live in a multi-generational household, there are different dynamics. Sometimes it can be quite controversial. But yes, I agree with both Suman and Sunita saying that this multi-generational household allows children, grandparents, a unique bond where everybody plays a part in the growth of the child. and as well as the care of the elderly. The elderly does not feel as if they're neglected or they're alone, because they now tell their stories, just as we learn the story of Sarwan Kumar, to their children or grandchildren. And this is how the culture lives on. However, when the grandmother died in this movie, they all came back home and they mended their differences. So that song, Lelo Lelo Duaima Bapki, made popular by Mohammed Rafi, tells you that it in song, they've told us how to care for our elderly and our parents, and by extension, our grandparents, even in song, where they tell you that your mother and father are the world. Next slide, Navin. However, change is the only constant in life, and one's ability to adapt to those changes will determine your success in life. It's like Darwin's theory, you know, it's survival of the fittest, and the world is ever changing. It continues to change, and if we don't adapt, we are not going to be able to cope. Next slide. Next slide, please. If we don't know where we came from, how do we know where we're going? Our forefathers came from India, and they came here as indentured laborers. Next slide, please. And we know this because of the education we got. We were taught this in school. We were taught this through stories from parents, grandparents, and education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world and adapt. Next slide, please. Here in Trinidad and Tobago, one of the things I did and a lot of people use is this book called A House for Mr. Biswas, and it's written by V.S. Naipaul. And this here is what was referred to in the book as Hanuman House. This novel tells you about communal living, the role of the grandparents, the extended family, and how it shaped Mr. Naipaul, because this is somewhat of a autobiography. It tells of his actual growing up. Speaks of how that communal living shaped his life. And then later on in the novel, his father went on to get a job. So they moved from that communal living because of economic reasons, as well as to help the family grow. It allowed the family to become a bit more independent. And yes, they would see their grandparents. It also provided a sense of independence. And as we become more educated, sometimes whether it's jobs, people change their locations, whether it's some of them migrate to different countries. Next slide, please. But we all know aging is definitely something we all have to go through. So even though our situations may change, our locations may change, we still love our parents, our grandparents, and we want to give the best to them. Once there is life, there will be aging. Next slide, please. And the Bhagavad Gita, in Lord Krishna speaking to Arjuna and letting him know about the different stages in life, he also gave us the information or the tools we need in order to help us live a healthy life. As people age, if they're healthy and strong, they're able to move about more. They prefer their independence. As Miss Kapoor said, you know, even in India, they are being a lot more independent. People are no longer, not that it does not exist where you have the multi-generational family household, but you know, we are also living longer. People want their independence. Elderly, my own parents, they prefer to be in their comfort zone, and their comfort zone is where their home is. And as much as they love their children and they love their grandchildren, their space is not home. It's not in the rural setting they're accustomed to. So if we eat well, we exercise, and here it gives us the different gunas, gave us the different types of food we can eat to help us live longer, to live into a good elderly, to live long, to be strong, to be healthy. And if we're healthy, then the quality of life we have as we age is a good quality. If you're aging and you're not well, you're sick, you can't do things for yourself, a lot of people begin to think that they are a burden and they no longer want to be around. Or relatives, that's when you have some signs of elderly abuse as well. And in Trinidad, unlike the US, it's the economic status of a lot of people that determine the care they get as they age. Some people can afford to have somebody come home to take care of them. Some people live within multi-generational family. Some people, they prefer to go in homes, whether it's homes for the aged or another communal type living where, they go to a smaller house, but closer to people their age, so they can still have that sense of community. Next slide. A lot of them are in that baby boomer generation. Generation Beta is going to be a very digital generation. And how are they going to cope? I have had my daughter say to me, "Mommy, I don't think I'm going to have any kids." And it makes you wonder what is going to happen to you as you age. And I don't think I will be living here in Trinidad. How do we cope with that? Whereas in generations before, they had 12, 13 children, they went down to 6, and people were taking care of each other. Some families now, the elderly are here in Trinidad, but none of their children live here. But they still communicate, they still have care and attention. Next slide, please. So their sense of community, where it was here, everybody was in person and we were eating from that communal pot. Community now is like this, they're in front of their computers. I've had a patient who, one child was in England, one was in the US, and they were here in Trinidad and Tobago in their home in Central, and I was in my home in Arima, and we were able to have a video call. So even though nobody were in the same place, like in this picture, that person was able to feel as if everybody was there with them. And that's what the pandemic allowed. It allowed us to still feel that sense of community, even though we are not able to touch each other. At least we can see each other. When they were growing up in their time, that was not even existent. They did not even think that that was possible. So it's about changing and adapting to and embracing the technology to help them enjoy elderly life. Next slide, please. It's all about balance. It's about finding the right balance, whether it is what we eat, how we take care of ourselves, how we can communicate with our relatives. It's all about finding that space where we can share of ourselves to take care of the previous generation who've worked hard to provide, while being able to still maintain some sense of independence and care. Next slide, please. So with it, we have in Trinidad, we can customize things. We can provide care. You can either have the option of having somebody come to your home if you prefer that and can afford it. We can have education, lots of education, because we educate them about how they can take care of their own health. Help them enjoy that sense of independence, whether it's they're in a home with multiple generations. The grandchildren are in the kitchen with the grandparents, and they enjoy little things like learning to make roti. Because during the day, a lot of parents are at work. My grandmother, she couldn't read, and I did not even know that. I recognized that she couldn't read when I was a teenager and took her to the bank. She couldn't read nor write. She used her thumbprint. But when I was in primary school, every day you better come home and take out your book and read what Miss gave you in school. And by experience, you fumble a little bit, they point and make you read over that line, because you had to point and read in those times. And it was important then, and it still is important now. When somebody is home to care for the children, to provide a warm meal when you come home from work, a lot of people who live in multi-generational homes enjoy that. There are those who don't have that luxury. They're in different places. In Trinidad, we have the option of food being delivered to your home. You have an option, there's a menu, they have those services. So we have so much available. Yes, Mr. Mahadev, I understand that you're saying that the state pays the children to take care of their loved one, but our dharma didn't teach us that. It didn't teach us that you have to be paid to take care of your loved one. It teaches you that it's your duty. And yes, I understand that, economics makes a big difference in care. But if you really, truly love and care for your elderly, you will teach the next generation that nurturing nature that was taught to you. Next slide, please. We have medical management. Medicine in Trinidad is both public and private. And in Trinidad, you can mix both. You can have meals prepared. There's companionship. There's holistic educational support for complete well-being. Just as Ms. Kapoor said, in India, there are ashrams. They have home for the aged. Yes, they have senior living facilities. I understand that some people say there is elderly abuse happening in some of these places. However, if you have your loved one in one of these senior living spaces, it is your duty to go and check on them, have conversation with them. If we don't speak and we don't communicate, we don't know exactly what they're going through. So caring for somebody who is senior, it should not feel as if it's a burden. If you really love and care for your relative, and sometimes it's not just your relative, it's your friends. When you have that sense of community, it's your neighbor, because the person who is closest to you will look out for you. At least that's what we would want in a sense of community. So, what we do is we would like everybody to know there's senior home care management, there's medical management and coordination support for people. And I also provide a medical concierge care and care coordination service. And People who live abroad, they utilize this service because you are like that conduit between them and their relatives who are here. And I just put the pieces together, connect the dots, build the puzzle so it becomes a full picture so that they can enjoy aging. That's what they want, to age gracefully, age comfortably, and be happy. Next slide, please. This is what we do. And health and wellness are the most important things. As long as you have health, you can age well. You can feel strong. And health is teamwork. It must not feel like a burden by one person or to one person. And in families where there were 12 children before, 6 children, a lot of times you hear that only one person has to feel the burden of taking care of their elderly, their seniors. And if they share it, it would make a difference, you know. If you share a load, it makes it lighter, so it doesn't feel a burden. It feels like you can, it's like coming together in satsang, coming together to speak to each other. It's just enjoying the company of each other. Next slide. And this is how you can find us. You can find us anywhere. So we are available via Facebook, Instagram, email. And in Trinidad, a lot of foreigners utilize these services because children who are educated and gone abroad, they feel that disconnect from being here because a lot of people say, the older ones say, I can't live out there, it's cold. It's not the same. And home is home, and home is where the heart is. Next slide, please. So if anybody have any questions, aging is not a difficult thing if we have the right tools.
Thank you very much, Sunita. So that was a very informative presentation. So there were some questions that were submitted, and one of them was for Suman. The joint family, referred to as the extended family in the West, served a functional purpose in our society, and they provided the manual labor needed to produce food. So is there a role for the joint family in modern society?
Yes, definitely. This is the role. That's why I took so much time in explaining to and what I had experienced. There is a relenting, but everyone has to sacrifice a little bit. I think that is the main important thing to join everybody. You can't get everything. So everyone has to sacrifice their own money, own time, own taste, own, my child sort of a thing. This is important. And there is definitely 90 out of 100 points I give for a joint family living, if possible. It's up to us how we make it possible.
Okay, thank you. So in your years, is there a natural diminishment? Okay, the question they were asking, in your very senior years, there is a natural diminishment in physical capacity. So I think do you want to be cared for by family or by a care home? What is your personal preference and why?
So I can share with my own experience. I'm also in elder years and I'm not 100% good health. And I live on my own. 3 years back, my husband passed away. I used to live with my husband here. And at the same time, my family moved to Australia. They had just moved and my husband passed away. So now the challenge was whether I move to Australia to live with my son because my daughter is already in England. She's also calling me and I often visit to her. And but I chose to live here because at the same point I'm addressing another question with my fellow presenter was trying to explain that New York is the best place. Well, I don't think that he has seen other places. So since I live here in New Zealand, I would like to tell you that exactly everything is the same over here. And I live very comfortably alone in my house. And yeah, and the government is giving a lot, the medical facilities, the financial assistance, and in New York, I have many friends. They want to come to New Zealand because when they say the kind of care we get, the kind of medical assistance we get, and everything free of cost. We don't have to pay even for the medicines. Only a few exceptions. So that's a real good value of our old age treatments we get here. Lots of social activities, and as far as uh, our Indian community is concerned, we are the same wherever we live. So I go often and live in Australia also with my son, and I live in England also. And it is with different grading, it is the same. And in all the three area, we give 1, 2, 3 to any place. So my darling friend, please remember that we are also all the same facilities here. It is not only in US, and it may be a few steps up than US. So I'm totally in for New Zealand. And beauty of the nature, wow. You can't. And sometimes even one day we see 4 seasons. So anyway, that's what. And as far as meals are concerned, I would like to tell you, my husband was going through the denture making process, and because he was diabetic, it was a bit of a difficult healing process for him. And he was advised to have soft meals. So initially, I started putting everything, our Indian meal, in the mixer and making and giving it to him. He was not able to chew anything. Then I came to know that our hospital, which is very near to us, provide that facility without much cost. Of course, there is little, and they deliver at your doorstep. So they used to make very nice food, and blend it in the mixer and send it in differently, very nicely packed. I think that service even I was not able to provide to my husband. That's what I'm saying. When we aim and we point out to our children, we must see what even as a partner we can give. We have a limit. And I totally admire this kind of service. And from hospital, my husband used to like very much that continental type of food. Well, I would like to say it is not the Indian meal, but Indianized type of meal is also taken care in hospital. It's not on hospital, but there were young men Christian association. They used to have this service, maybe many more. I may not be aware. but meals is no problem. It's
All right.
not that we get so much money that our children also can be fed in that, but we get that much that we can live happily.
Okay, thank you very much. So I have a question here for Vishnu Mahadev. Vishnu, are you here?
Yes, I am here.
Excellent. So one was a comment that was made earlier in the program. Let me just find it. There's another one here for you. Can you please comment about the value system of adolescents of Indian heritage in the US? What are the principles upon which adolescent value systems are built in the US?
Okay. In the United States, the adolescence value is being developed by the social services that people get because they see their grandparents is being getting help through their parents and through themselves, and they then put that additional value so that when their parents get elderly they will be more connected with their parents, so they don't move away from our culture because we live in a Western culture. It reinforces our Indian value much stronger because of the financial compensation that is being given to them.
Okay. So thank you. There's
You're
a
most welcome. I was actually back in the Smoky Park. Today is the Pago Parade, and I go up there and I get blasted again.
Oh my God, you went outside. I did see you go outside. So yes, I am seeing you covered in a beer.
Sir, can I
Yes, yes.
comment, please?
Okay, be
Can I
good.
comment on that?
Go ahead.
Shalima, one sentence only, that here in New Zealand also we get financial assistance. If somebody looks after, the family member looks after the elderly, we get money. Thank you. Money means children get that compensation for their time
Oh, so
for
I am
caring. Yes.
early in the program, Das Armap. So Mr. Mahadev, this is for you. This is a comment that was made by Das Armap. He said, a very big gap exists in the US employer-employee unions insurance contracts. There are no elderly care benefit plans. I believe that management/unions could advocate for elderly benefit and work years. Can you comment on that?
Well, yes, what it is, our community people needs to be educated because whilst they were working with their job and they were getting union benefits and they were getting social security, they do not qualify for Medicaid because their income is high. But if they go through something called a pooled income trust, you could be a millionaire or a billionaire, you can still get Medicaid. And our people are not educated enough, and I made it my business to start educating people. I was an aerospace engineer, and after I saw what the Jewish community did with my dad, it motivated me to be a social engineer to educate everybody in the community and in the Caribbean. And that's what I've been doing.
Oh, very good. Thank you so very much. So I have a question here for Sunita. We in the Indian diaspora are different in that our indentured foreparents, in the majority of their cases, left their parents in India. Therefore, the notion of care for elderly was either neglected or left to the community. Do you think that this has adversely impacted our caregiving value system? And if yes, what, how?
This is where in Trinidad and Tobago.
I think so, yes, in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, neglected in what sense? Because I grew up in rural Trinidad, right? So in rural Trinidad, it was multi-generational, even though I had relatives who weren't living in Rio Claro, but they would come down very frequently. My cousins would spend vacations with us. Of course, it helped with caregiving, meaning they were on vacation. My aunts and uncles, I guess, didn't have care for them, but it allowed all the cousins to spend time together. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. However, I must say, where I live, my siblings have been abroad. So my own children have not had that close-knit relationship. And it is because of distance. So yes, they will speak on social media, but it's not the same as when you are physically in the same space. So yes, not being close by did have an impact. Leaving parents and grandparents in India when our forefathers came is one thing, but they develop relationships on that ship in their own communities. Where I was in Rio Claro, my grandmother, they had farm, they had cows and chicken, and everybody will come get things. Somebody not feeling well, she would send milk for them, vegetables. It was a community, even though you weren't related by blood. I am comfortable with my parents continuing to live in Rio Claro somewhat because my mom was by my sister, my dad wasn't well. The neighbor that I grew up with, we still say Tanti. And she would send food. In the height of COVID times, they would send food. It would be outside. Daddy will come down, take it inside. He's going to the supermarket. He will find out from her because, her son who drives isn't always at home. Do you need anything? So you build your community where you are. And it does not necessarily have to be with Indo-Trinidadians. That sense of community is what helps you as you age. Because when they go to a home, it's being able to have somebody to speak to, somebody they can relate to. I work in a clinic, and pre-COVID, the patients would come, you see that they see each other in the waiting room. Boy, you come for blood tests too, so-and-so not well. And they either call each other, just casual conversation. But I had observed when lockdowns happened and patients were spaced out, so they did not have to interact with each other, because at that time, their big social events were coming to the doctor and or going to the supermarket, going to the bank to collect their pensions. And all that was taken away from them. And they missed it. So I then had the opportunity to see them individually because they were still coming for their doctor's appointments. And in this case, their echocardiograms and stuff. And I remember some of them saying, do you know so passed? I didn't know, I used to see him when I come here. Or so if you think that not being with your children means you have lost that sense of community or being able to get cared for, that's not true. That's not true. And in Trinidad, there are so many options. You can be living in a multi-generational home, and the elderly is home alone all day because the kids are in school, the children are at work. When I think about it, if I was still living in my parents' home, my children would have been going to school far from them because they would be going to school closer to where I work. I would be out for a long time. I would leave home in the night and early in the morning, meaning before dawn, come back after dusk. So when would you really get to see them? How much time would they get with their grandkids in that case? So, and then they begin to feel like it's a burden. the most important part of elderly care, I think, is being educated that as you age, your body is going to change. And as your body changes, you have to be able to adapt. Remember what we say, change is inevitable. It's how we deal with it, how we educate ourselves to deal with the change. If you adjust to not being able to get up and run about every day, when you are working, you get up, you have a routine. When they're retired, they don't have to hustle like that. Some of them don't know what to do with all this time they have. And then they begin to listen to their bodies. Then they begin to feel all the pains. And in Trinidad, people have a tendency to not do health checkups. They feel good. At least they think they feel good. They say they were not sick until they retired, because that's when they go and they check themselves. That's like driving the car without checking the oil. You just put gas, it will shut down on you.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll ask this final question here. I'm seeing Chris. This is a question to all the panelists. The sense of duty to the elderly seems to be diminishing among the young. What can be done to remedy this? So I throw it out there to anyone on the panel.
Yes, I would. The sense of responsibility, I think, is not diminishing at all. Children, they have that, my personal feel, that in their genes. They cannot avoid these days, but it all depends how you bring them up. And because these values are already inculcated, these children these days, they care a lot whether they live with you or they live far away. They are available all the time for your help if you need anything and you discuss with them. For me personally, I never felt it. My children had time all the time, mid of the night or any odd hours. So they never even reply back that, oh, I have disturbed them in their comfort time. So in my opinion, it is how you bring them up. It all depends. It's not diminishing at all. They feel the same as we used to feel for our elders. Time has changed, definitely. And we have to mold ourselves. And to children, children are also trying to adjust so much with their busy lives. But that feel stands there, that they have to take care of their parents, elderly parents. I've seen it around as well. Degree may vary.
Okay,
I would like to say, it's not that it's disappearing, or they're just adapting and they're using different methods. My daughter would not pick up the telephone on the house and call my mother. No. I think they believe that phone is for in case of, I don't know, the house has to be burning down. But she gets on her cell phone and she would send a WhatsApp to the grandmother. They would do a video call, so there's still communication. There's still that love and communication, but it's not the method we would have used.
Picking up the phone is not for all times, but it is during some very emergent need time. You never know when you are in problem when you are elder. So I am telling from that angle.
Yes, and well, she's 11, so it's all about yeah.
Ours is matured level.
It's about
they have matured children as well.
Yes, because at that age they don't see they don't see it. They just want to know, okay, I'm with my friends at that point in time.
Correct.
Yes.
But the fact that they still think that, okay, I can reach out to I did not see you. I did not hear from you. I just want to
And
know how you are. And they send a message,
Yes.
my grandchildren are, say, like 18 also, and they understand the need, and they feel they have learned it through all these nurturing years. So they understand quite a lot, even if they are born in England or they are born in New Zealand or
They
anywhere.
want to see you. They want to see you. They want to
Yeah, that
to
seeing
look
is
at, yeah. They will not pick up the phone like this. No, they want to
always.
see you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm phone means, I said mobile phone or see or WhatsApp or whatever.
They need
Thank you.
to see and speak and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
we
All
make
right.
it a point to see each other, discuss, and
Correct.
lots of other occasions. So these values are being, nurtured. It's not being diminished.
It's being nurtured, but it's evolving. It's evolving.
Okay.
So it's
Mm,
I
about
agree.
the evolution of people. So I say, so the baby boomers are meeting the generation beta because they have to bridge
mm,
the gap.
mm.
And if we have to have continuity, just like my grandmother would have told me stories of when she was growing up,
Mm.
they then do the same thing. So they learn from storytelling, and these movies, I say what India has done is they have taught their traditions through movies, how to care for the family. And that's a big thing. The new generation is very visual, so they learn a lot from
Yes.
visual aids and stuff.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And I just mentioned something personal this morning. My dad, he has 5 great-grandchildren. So he was able to see all 5 of them this morning. And he spent the night before, and he did not sleep. They all played. So, their connection is strong. So yes, everyone is changing and everyone is adapting to life in general. So I want to thank everyone on the panel for taking the time to be here, and we so appreciate all of your information and for giving freely of your knowledge, your skills, and your expertise here today. So I will now pass you on to Shiria, who will formally close the program.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you.
Shakira. You've done so well moderating today. And thank you all for taking the time to attend and participate. As I said earlier, this is a public meeting. It's being hosted by the Indo-Caribbean Cultural Center. And today we are very pleased to be supported by Ashok Ramsaran, President of the Indian Diaspora Council. Feel free to contact the ICC to publish your books. And remember, we are asking you kindly to give us your suggestions. If you give a donation, your name will be placed on our poster and all our promotional materials. Please contact Dr. Mahabir for details about this. Our topic next Sunday will be Liberated and Indentured Africans in the Indian Diaspora. Thanks to the advisory and planning team led by Dr. Kumar Mabir. Thanks to our IT consultants, Daryl Gransam and Navin Mungal. Thanks to Daryl again for designing the poster and Ravin Ramsingh for doing the social media marketing. Please visit, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all our past recordings. I'm Ashidia from the Netherlands saying goodbye. May God bless you all and thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.